Hello, I'm Deborah Sword. Sometimes how we communicate is actually what's causing an impasse in solving a conflict. Here's an example. An employer asked me to mediate what should have been a simple matter of two employees who worked together on projects and didn't agree on how to proceed. Let's call the employees Tom and Jerry. The employer wanted Tom and Jerry to decide how they'd compromise between their two opinions. In the mediation, Tom did all the explaining of the two positions and why they thought each of them, their position was correct. As I listened to Tom, I wondered if the conflict had reached an impasse because of a power imbalance. But when they talked to each other, I changed my analysis. It wasn't a power imbalance. Their communication styles didn't match. Tom wanted to define the problem, solve it, and move on. Tom asked specific questions and wanted definitive answers to figure out who was correct. He was frustrated that Jerry wouldn't answer a question directly or accept a good enough decision so they could get back to work. Jerry, on the other hand, wanted to slow down and was curious about how they reached their different positions. He was frustrated that Tom wanted precise answers to complex questions. Jerry wanted to be more cautious about how they'd work together in future, even if it meant losing valuable work time now. I shared my observation of this miscommunication. I pointed out to Tom that he preferred an either-or transactional mode of communicating, where words had exact meanings, questions had explicit answers, and if there was good enough information, there should have been a good enough solution. I suggested that if he was patient with Jerry discussing the history of their conflict, would they find implementing the solution easier? I pointed out to Jerry, on the other hand, that he preferred a more implicit approach that put focus not just on words, but on how the relationship had gotten to that situation. If Jerry, I asked, would, if you answered the questions more directly than you would otherwise find comfortable, do you think that maybe Tom would find it easier to work with you in future? For Jerry, social setting and context were part of the conversation, but he said that implicitly because to him it should have been obvious. And to him, the discussion would build trust and understanding. But for Tom's more direct approach, people speak explicitly. Tom assumed that if Jerry didn't say something, it obviously wasn't important. Tom just wanted to get the mediation done, get to a solution, and if you put it in writing, there should be no trust issue. For Tom, it was a simple two-party mediation happening in the room. For Jerry, the conflict included everybody who knew the both of them because he operates in an ecosystem that includes the community and people who were impacted and people who would have been involved in implementing the solution, whatever it turned out to be. Tom and Jerry wanted to move at different speeds to a solution. I asked them to adapt their communication style to appreciate the other person as high context or low context rather than getting frustrated. A low context communicator is impatient to make good progress to solve the problem. The high context communicator is patient to use good process to build relationships to solve the problem. Neither of them is better than the other. They're different. Your conflict competence is understanding that difference. What might that look like? Well, first, what looks like a power imbalance or frustration may in fact be a communication mismatch. Then, if it is a communication mismatch, what looks like a two-party or some number of parties conflict may in fact be more involved. Whoever in the conflict has a high context approach may want to discuss a bigger set of factors than the low context person has patience for. Both parties will then be frustrated. You being aware of a communication mismatch can help you manage this kind of conflict. Your conflict competency is recognizing that if you and the other person or people are frustrated or impatient, it may be because there's a mismatch between high and low context communication preferences. Just being aware of that can help you manage the conflict better. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, like it, share it, ask questions, leave comments. We love to hear from you. Thank you.